Alright, class, so group 4, we have Fernando, Alexandra, Chance, Mark, and Brittany. Let's start with Fernando's work. So Fernando, it looks like your denotative remained the same from this week and last week. What I would recommend is, seeing if there are areas that align a little bit better, kind of like what you've done here, but it's looking a little too plain, so we still don't really think about flan here. Even with your denotative, we need a bit more connotation and emotion just to kind of see what we can bring to the table here. So I'm wondering if there's something we can do here in the white space or the yellow space in your case, just to kind of break this block up a little bit. So I like where you're going with the title, the directions, and all, but I'm wondering if we can maybe do something creative with the numbering system, maybe bold them up a little, or something with the ingredients list can change, maybe make things a bit more bold, because the only bold area is right here, and everything seems to be so quiet and tame in comparison with your connotative right here. So definitely see if there's something we can bring in just to kind of spice things up, just maybe bring in some boldness into the numbering system, or maybe bold some of those areas right here where it says ingredients, or maybe pull the pull quote down here somehow. But let's try to experiment more with this version. I think your connotative is looking really good. It's a lot more readable now. Things are a little bit more organized, and this definitely reads very clearly now that we got rid of the upside down text. So great job on this one. I think you nailed it. All right. I don't think I would change much. The only thing I would say is I would just say make a little bit more space between these two sentences. For some reason they seem a little too close. So see if we can do that. And it could be because you're too close to the yellow circle right here. Like somehow your text here seems to breathe a little bit more easily than it does here. Here it seems to be so crowded, like right here. And it could be because you have the yellow circle and then you have the pull quote right here. So maybe just space it up just a little bit. But that would be my only feedback for you. I think this looks great. All right. Let's move on to Andrea's work. So Andrea, I think this looks pretty good. I'm not sure if I saw a newer version, but so far this is looking good in terms of how things are placed. I remember from last week that there was a little bit more space that I wondered if there was like maybe a pumpkin stub or stem here, maybe somehow made with the subtitle or something, but this space right here compared to this space is pretty open. And also this space right here is pretty open. I'm wondering if we can bring some of those areas, like maybe instructions can go here, right? And then maybe your ingredients list can, it's fine the way it is. I would just say maybe just focus more on this space right here that it's creating. All right. I don't know if you have a newer version. If you have, I'll check back and maybe give you feedback individually. But yeah, that's what I remember from your version for now, was the spaces for both. But I think overall this is a good set. I like the colors, and I like how you've paired them nicely. Your denotative also having the shape of a pumpkin as well as your connotative. Alright, let's move on to Chance's work. So Chance, I figured we can take a look at all your work as a set. Personally, I think where you were going last week seemed a little bit stronger for your, I would say for this one right here. So this is your, I would believe this is your denotative. Unless this is your denotative. I think this is your denotative. Okay, so let's take a look. Honestly, I think I liked this version a little bit more. It seemed to be a little bit more cohesive, and it had a little bit more playfulness than what we see here. We're kind of missing some of those areas right here. So I think I would definitely recommend going back to this version. I think there's something nice about placing that text this way. It gives it a bit more contrast on the bold text that you see here. But I do like that you made things a little bit bigger here. So I would say use the scale that you have for this layout and make this layout bigger. All right. So that's what I would say for your connotative. For your denotative, I also think that what you had previously seemed to work a little bit better in terms of how you divided up your layout. Okay. It's nice that things align now, but I think it just looks a little too much like a list. Okay. I think we had something a little bit more interesting here where we were lining things up differently. What I like about this version here is that you have nice white space with some nice contrast. But what I would also recommend is really use those letter forms as your alignment. So maybe things line up with the R, like we have with May. We always have reason for a party. Maybe your instructions stay where they are, but your ingredients list can probably go in this direction. Try it out and see. But I think this right now looks a little too much like a list. And we kind of miss seeing some of those areas next to your layout where you have text a little bit more horizontal, right? So definitely refer back to your older version for this, as well as for your connotative, right? I do like the things that you're adding, just the outline text, and just making things a bit bigger for this version that I would like to see in this version here for your final, okay? Mark, we talked about yours during office hours, so you already have the feedback that you need. I definitely think this is much stronger. There's definitely a big jump from this version right here for quantitative to this version, so good job. I think this is definitely come a long way. We just need to fix our denotative here and just make sure that it reads properly. So please refer back to the discussion we had on, I believe, yesterday during office hours. All right. So Brittany, let's take a look at your layout. It looks like you have a few here. Remember, we're not using any illustrations or any kind of graphic aids. So I'm gonna say I'll still critique this, but I'm not gonna critique your illustrations because we're not going to be including them in the final round. So I think this looks good as a set. I like that you started to include a bit more white space. What I like is how you're starting to include color. I think this one looks good. I'm just wondering why we're not aligning things here like we do here. So see if you can align the ingredients to this particular paragraph right here in this one. Same goes for other areas, which I think are pretty close, so just make sure you have more alignment. I think just makes the layout more strong. Same here, just kind of move ramen down to align to serve. Okay, and then other areas of this paragraph, like this, maybe align more to the bottom, so that way you can have more space to bring in ramen to the right. Okay. What I will say is that this one here I'm not really drawn to because I'm not sure why we're doing centered text here, and it doesn't seem to make sense for any of this layout treatment. But what I will say is I am enjoying one of these two, just the way you've looked at the text, that it seems a little bit more organized and clear how you've organized your text typographically. So I'm wondering if you can bring back some of those areas here for this version here. And I'm also wondering if you can, let's see, if this is your denotative and you're trying to make this your connotative, really think about how you want to structure your information. Right now, I think this one is pretty strong in terms of how you have things typographically show you ramen, but get rid of the illustrations and just make the text bigger. And I would say maybe make this your connotative and this your denotative, right? And just make sure that we have a little bit more bold treatment for your text, because right now I think these two work much better as a set. Right now these two are not really making sense next to one another, and I think the centered text for the whole page is just not working, right? So please refer back to this version right here and just get rid of the illustrations and maybe see if you can use this as your denotative and this as your connotative. Alright. I think this is it for group 4. I will see you in the next video for group 5.